I call the member for Wannon on the MPI.
No.
No.
Not on the MPI. On.
We haven't called it on. Just
right.
I assume then from that this discussion has concluded. I will call the clerk.
Government business. Order of the day number 1. Clean Energy Bill 2011. Resumption of debate on second reading.
The question is that these bills be now read a second time. I'll now call the member for Wannon.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. And I stand today absolutely outraged. I have to speak on a bill, 1,200 pages of a bill, and I've been allowed 5 minutes to do so. 5 minutes on a bill which is going to have a detrimental impact on serious industries in my electorate. It is an absolute disgrace. 5 minutes, 1,200 pages. That's all this government will give me to speak on this piece of legislation. The clock might be showing 15 minutes, but if I speak for longer than 5, then other people on this side of the House will miss out on speaking on this legislation. It's a disgrace. This is a deceitful piece of legislation which strikes at the heart of Australia's international competitiveness. The other side stands condemned for putting this bill through. Climate change is a global problem. It deserves a global solution. It does not require a solution that will send jobs and industries overseas. Yet that is exactly what this carbon tax will do. But it will not only do this. After we have sent the jobs and the industries offshore, we will then buy the carbon permits from the countries that have benefited from this exporting of jobs and industries overseas, and they will benefit handsomely. We are talking by $3.5 billion in 2020, by $57 billion by 2050. So we export the jobs and the industries overseas with this carbon tax, then we export taxpayers' money overseas. It is an absolute disgrace. Let's go to 3 key points that need to be made about this legislation. Climate change, global problem, needs a global solution. What has the government done to try and get that global solution? Absolutely asleep at the wheel. What have they done to try and get some sort of consensus in South Africa at the end of this year? Nothing. What type of coalition or consensus have they built to try and get action in South Africa at the end of this year? Nothing. What's our #1 foreign policy objective at the moment? Trying to get a seat on the UN Security Council seat. And the Foreign Minister is leading this charge, even though he said that this is one of the greatest moral dilemmas of our time. Why isn't he putting the same effort, the same energy into trying to get an outcome in South Africa, which would mean that Australia's international competitiveness would be protected? Absolute disgrace. What will it mean for my electorate, for Wannon? What will it mean for the agricultural sector in my electorate? The dairy industry, a $5,000 to $7,000 hit per dairy farm. The meat industry, an extra cost of 24 to 30 cents for each carcass that goes through an abattoir in my electorate. Grain. What will it mean for grain? $36,000 is the approximate cost which is put on each and every grain farmer in my electorate. It is an absolute disgrace. What about the 358 local manufacturers in my electorate? How can they deal with this? These are small manufacturing businesses that compete internationally. What can they do when they get hit with this? They cannot pass the costs on. They have to absorb it. It is hard enough for them at the moment without having an additional cost being put on them. The #1 issue in my electorate is roads and the state of the roads. The last federal budget, federal government not one extra dollar for roads. Yet, what are we doing? We're putting a 5% cost on road construction across my electorate, and the government is doing nothing to compensate local government or state government on it. This is a disgraceful piece of legislation which is built on deceit. And what is it going to mean for paperwork for those small businesses in my electorate? What will they have to do with these 1,200 pieces of paper? It's going to add red tape to every one of those businesses. We've already seen a six times increase in businesses in their paperwork, in their red tape. This is just going to make it worse. Mr Deputy Speaker, I will have more to say on this evening, as I only have 5 minutes today to get through what I need to say, so the member for Higgins has a chance to say something. It's a disgrace, but this is not the last you've heard from me on this issue.